You're listening to Online Pet Health Podcasts with Dr. Megan Kelly. Continuing education for veterinarian rehabilitation therapists. Learn more at onlinepethealth.com.
Hey Vet Rehabbers, it's another one of my Behind the Vet Rehab Practice podcasts. And these podcasts we learn from vet rehabbers all around the world how they practice vet rehab. They share with us their challenges, their wins and losses, and the hope that we can learn from their mistakes, and also so that we don't make the same ones that they did. They also share their tips and advice on how they navigate through this crazy world we live in today, and we get a glimpse of their vet rehab life. Before we head over to my interview with Donna Wills, she's based in Berkshire in the UK, a quick word from our sponsors. PulseVet are the global leaders in veterinary shockwave technology. They manufacture the ProPulse and Versatron family of products. Now, for those of you that don't know what shockwave therapy is, it's a non-invasive, high-energy sound wave therapy that can be used on both large and small animals, and it's used mainly to treat multiple soft tissue injuries as well as musculoskeletal conditions. With over 20 years of clinical research, PulseVet is used by the top vets and vet rehabbers to improve the quality and speed of healing, relieve pain, stimulate bone and tissue growth, as well as improve the mobility for their patients. For more information, you can go to pulsevet.com. Now, today I chat with Donna, and she has been amazing and created her own online courses in exotic rehab. She's also created a DVD for puppy massage. She is the host of the Cup of Tea with the Vets on Facebook Live and has been extremely successful in marketing herself and her practice, giving her an endless source of vet referrals. She goes into her marketing plan and gives tips and advice on how vet rehabbers can implement the same things in their practice. Over to Donna. Hey Donna, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Donna, for the listeners, won't you tell them about yourself and about your practice?
Sure. So I'm Donna Wills. I run Animal Physiotherapy Ltd. I have done for 15 years. It's evolved massively over that time. I am a one-man band. I have, tried various things over the years and been a bigger clinic and a smaller clinic and all sorts of things. Right now I'm back to just being one-man band. And growing again. It's very strange.
So are you treating just small animals?
Yes, sort of. So yes, I don't do horses. I literally don't have time. So I mostly am doing smallies, dogs, cats, rabbits, other things that come in that are fun, like the odd cow and alpaca and stuff like that as well.
Okay, wow. How many alpacas have you treated?
Oh, not many. A lady had a couple, so I had like 3. But no, it's not loads. It's just that you get odd people who've heard of you. Odd people, I mean random people, not as in they're odd. And so they come to you, and it'll probably be through a vet or something like that. But they just happen to have these odd random pets, as it were, and they're like, oh, I wonder if this can help. And so that's how those cases come in. It is always quite bizarre. My skunk was definitely the most favorite odd case as well. So but I don't get loads of the exotic cases, but I do get a nice sort of influx of them. I do get a lot of cats and rabbits though. Those I do get quite frequently.
Well, you've got quite a passion for the exotics, right? You've actually created an online course for vet rehabbers, because I think it's a topic that a lot of us don't have knowledge on. When we do any studies on it, it's always dogs and cats or horses. There's very little bit about exotics. So tell us about your course.
Yeah, exactly. So, originally this course, I actually set it up like 9 years ago, so a long time ago. And it was born out of the fact that I was always being asked about how do you treat a cat, how do you treat a rabbit, and I thought, well, actually, we shouldn't be limiting ourselves to who we treat, because if you can treat it, it should be treated. And if they've got bones and muscles, they should be treated. Who decided that we just do horses and dogs? It's just crazy. So I set the course up because I do have a lot of experience originally from my nursing, and then it bore me to start exploring other species and how they vary, how they're different. And then I ended up putting the course together, and it was really successful. And obviously I ran it face to face back then. And then obviously with COVID, and just the fact that everything has been getting online, I thought, okay, it is time for it to get online. So I sort of bit the bullet, as it were, and put it into an online course so that it's been accessible across the globe. And actually, it has been truly successful. I have a lot of students on it, which I'm actually thrilled about. And it gives them the opportunity to learn at home in their own time. And there's videos and lots of discussion, lots of comparisons. But the point is, it teaches them not just to treat a rabbit, it's about learning to compare and contrast between your species so that you can actually apply that knowledge to any animal, so there is no limitation. So I discussed several species to get a broad knowledge, but actually it's about you learning how to then treat absolutely anything, which I think is really important.
Yeah, and I think that it just doing a course like that, even if you don't see exotics all the time, it's actually for that unprepared day when you open the box and you think it's a cat and a hedgehog comes out. That happened to me. Serious. I was like, what? How do I do rehab on a hedgehog? So yeah, that's what it's about. It's like preparing yourself and getting into that way of thinking. So like, I mean, when the hedgehog comes, you got to think out the box, like, okay, like I actually have all this knowledge. I just got to work out how I can apply it to this specific species.
Totally. I was just going to say that actually it comes full circle as well, because where you've now learned how to apply it to different species, it then comes back and you end up seeing it as, actually, how do I make this different for a different breed? Because, your dog's variation is so huge that actually, an appropriate exercise for a Great Dane isn't the same as it is for a pup. And so it's, you end up using that knowledge in many, many ways, which, yeah, I love.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there, we'll put the link in the description, how you can access if any of you are interested in that exotics course. So you mentioned that you treated a skunk. So I'm obviously like intrigued about this now. So did it let off a stinky or not?
No, it was absolutely amazing. The guy who had the skunk, he had a sort of a small holding. He was a really amazing guy, and his situation was quite unique. It wasn't like a paid for zoo type thing. He actually took animals in that didn't really get on with where they were supposed to be. So this skunk was supposed to be in a zoo, but he didn't get on with his housemates. And so he ended up taking in those sort of waifs and strays. And as a result, he was very much a I love you type guy. And so the skunk pretty much lived in the house and all that. So I used to take him to the pub. So he was one of the most social skunks I've ever seen, having never met a different skunk. I mean, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But, it was amazing. And then the skunk developed lamenesses. And so the vet obviously was treating the skunk. And then the vet was like, oh, you need to go and see Donna, our physio. And so Skunk came to me, and we had so many skunk cuddles, it was ridiculous. Like so ridiculously well behaved. The skunk would roll over, let me do whatever I needed to do. I mean, it was truly incredible. And I have to say, there was a thought process, am I going to get stunk at? But no, it never happened. It never happened. So yeah, it was very interesting and eye-opening, because they can apparently remove those glands in some countries, but they didn't obviously here. But it's been very eye-opening, a lot of that type of thing.
So you mentioned your sort of passion for exotics came from veterinary nursing. Tell us about how you got into the field of vet rehab. So like, what was the moment that you thought, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it is an evolution, but I think it's always been in my mind, because even when I was back at college before nursing, I wanted to be an animal physio. That was really what I had said first. I mean, after you get that, I want to be a vet at 4, and then I want to be a vet nurse at like 13, and then you're like, no, I want to do rehab. And that was, I think, probably about age 16 when I realized that was even a thing. But back then, the rules as I understood it was that you had to do the human nursing first, and that was very off-putting for somebody who just wants to work with animals. So I was like, oh, I don't want to do that on people. And so I didn't end up going down that road because of that rule. And so I became a vet nurse, which actually I'm thrilled about, because that was absolutely an amazing career and I've truly enjoyed it. And I can't fault it enough. I think that it's been amazing for me career wise. I understand so much as a result of it. So I'm thrilled that I did that. But then I ended up at a CPD about hydrotherapy, funnily enough, and that was where I learned about the other courses available, or at that time there was only one other course available, that was for nursing routes. And so I was like, oh, okay, I need to explore this. And so I explored it, and that was what I ended up doing. So that was how I ended up down my road and sort of making various changes to make it happen. Because yeah, it's funny how you have to evolve your life to make it go the path that you want it to go.
So what did you study after the vet nursing then?
So I did the TCAP, so Training College of Animal Physiotherapy course to get my postgrad certificate in animal physiotherapy.
Okay. And now you have your own practice, which you've had for a while.
Yeah.
How does it actually run now? Are you mobile, or do you work from a clinic or from home?
I work from home now, from two homes. I work from my mum's home and from my home. um, it's funny. Business has to evolve around your life as well. You know, everybody says, "What's the point in being self-employed if you don't do it how you want to do it?" So I would say that there's a balance, because you can't do it entirely how you want to do it. Otherwise, you'd just be like, "Yeah, I'll see two clients tomorrow. Oh, I've got time." So that doesn't work like that. But yeah, my business has definitely evolved over the years. So I started out mobile, and then I got myself into various clinics, and so I was in 5 veterinary practices in the south, driving one per day. And then I managed to buy a house. So I sort of put a summer house in the garden. And so that became another clinic that I'd do in the evenings. And then I actually got Harrods as well. So they contacted me. For anyone who doesn't know, that's a very, very, very prestigious supermarket in the UK. But they opened a pet spa and wanted me to come in as their physio, which was amazing. So then I was very, very busy, and having my day a week everywhere and literally all over the place. And then I got pregnant, and so life changes. And so at that point, I obviously down tools to have the child. I was actually very ill when I had her, and so I didn't actually know that I'd be able to work again. I was really ill.
Morning
And
sickness ill, or
sorry.
morning sickness ill, or
Oh
just had
no, I got it was, I mean, birth wise, I nearly didn't make it. I was very, very broken by the whole process. And so I couldn't even get off the floor after I'd had her for months. And so I had people coming in and walking my dog, people, I mean, I was on a lot of medicine and a lot of things. So I really wasn't in a great place. So I really didn't think I'd be able to do the physical job that is rehab. So things had to change. But then my clients were like, "No, Donna, you've got to come back." And so I was like, okay, because the guilt's come in. And so I very slowly started going back with the clients that I trusted to look after my daughter. So I was basically mobile again, is the point. And literally just took her with me, and just very slowly eased myself back into it. And then I realized I was okay. And so then I moved house again, and got myself a decent sized room with bricks. It was nice. So it's warmer. And so I now have my clinic at my house. And then the reason for having it at my parents' house is because they were also helping with childcare. So it's kind of making it all work. And so now I still just have the 2 clinics, which is good because it's really busy, at both of them. It's a bit weird because obviously one clinic's an hour away, but otherwise I probably wouldn't see my parents. So it's good multitasking. And it's worked out really well.
Yeah, and I think also you have 2 different places to draw clients from then.
Yeah.
If it's an hour away, your area in which you can service is a whole lot bigger. And it's great that, like you say, you get to see your parents and you get childcare at the same time. So you've got a small like brick room. Is that separate to your house? What happens at your parents' house? Do you just use a room there, or how do you treat patients there?
Yeah, it's all just using rooms, and actually I quite like it because it's a small room, so the patients can't run off too far, which is lovely. So at my house, yes, it's separate to my actual house, which is good because otherwise you'd have to clean up and everything in between. That'd be a bit of a nightmare. So no, it is all very separate, which is good. And I sort of have all my stuff, because you always so much stuff, don't you? That pretty much lives in the car because there's only limited space. And I get out what's needed as needed. So it works really well, actually. I do have plans, obviously, that I would love another therapy room as a big room, because at the moment, if it rains, I am struggling a little bit because I have most of my exercise stuff is outside. I bring bits and bobs indoors as needed. And then at my parents' house, it's also a separate room there. I sort of use their conservatory. It's called a conservatory, but it's really sort of a room with one wall of glass, so it's not that much. It's not a cooking room or anything. Yeah, so I use that room, and again, so it's separate. So my clients come round and they only see me. It's not like my parents greet them at the door or anything like that. So yeah, it works. It works out really nicely, actually.
And is one of the clinics busier than the other, or are they pretty equal?
Do you know, it's really weird because I swear it's like they tag team. So I can have one clinic busier, then it'll swing to the other one, then it'll swing back and stuff like that. So yeah, but my Swindon clinic wasn't as busy for quite a while, and then now all of a sudden it is the more busy one. But that's now currently on a shift again. So it is odd. Sometimes I do have to do extra days of the week to try and get everything in, and who knows what's going to happen once COVID's over, but I suspect it'll be a lot better once it's over, actually. So yeah, it's funny, but it is nice as well, because when you've got two places, as you say, you draw in clinics and clients from other places, and if one is sort of on the low down for whatever reason, you have got another one that's bolstering the income quite well. So yeah, it works out very well.
So what does your week look like? So run through with us sort of when you're consulting at which clinic, and if you ever have any time off.
Yeah, time off. So it's funny because when you say it out loud, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I do so many things. And also I'm a mum, and I'm really conscious to try and make sure I have mum time. And that has been a lot harder through COVID. But aside from that, my daughter, she's still only 6. So this has been an evolution all the time, because obviously she's only been at school sort of a couple of years and things like that. And also I'm very much aware that when it comes to school holidays, if you have a 5-day week, and then when you have a school holiday, it's a real problem. And I don't really want to miss the school holidays. So my limitation is really my choice to have my family life as well, which is hard. It's hard because, I love my job. So I'm not going to lie, it's really tough, because you're like, oh my God, I love both. Oh my God. So that is really tough. So as a result, I have worked, like the main is supposed to be 2 days a week of seeing patients, but they are long days. So I'll work literally first thing in the morning to quite late in the evening. I mean, sometimes I see patients at 8 o'clock. I try not to. I think that's naughty, and I tell myself off for it, but I do sometimes. So I won't finish until 9 o'clock. And when I work on a Tuesday in Swindon, I have an hour's drive each way plus cleanup time. So I won't even get home until sort of 10, 11 o'clock at night. So for me, that's quite a lot. So Monday, Wednesday and Friday are technically my admin days, but they're also the days that I do home visits if I have a home visit patient, because I do still do some home visits. Quite strict on them, but if an owner is disabled and can't get out, or the dog's disabled, can't get in the car, those are criteria that I will allow home visit in. So I have to fit my home visits in, my interviews, basically any of the other things that come in, your CPD, all that sort of thing has to happen on those 3 days. So I'm trying really hard to keep my weekends as my time. And it's amazing how much the admin really adds up, because you've got to organise your referrals, you've got to do your bookkeeping. There's a million things. You all know how hard it is running your business, and so those things have to happen on those other 3 days, and then I'm back to back with clients on the Tuesday and Thursday.
So how many patients will you see per day on those Tuesdays and Thursdays?
It does depend. It can be sort of 13 sometimes. I try and see them hourly. So that obviously means it's 1 per hour. Obviously, I do have them back to back. I don't have any break time, so I try and sometimes write my report super fast. So I do try and make sure I get my reports done after every single case, and I'm very strict with myself about that as well, because I think if I don't, then that's my evening gone, if I did even have one. And obviously gaps happen. COVID sometimes means that there's I've got to isolate, so they don't get to see me for 2 weeks. They've taken up that appointment and the next appointment. So those things make life complicated at the moment. But yeah, it does depend. Some of your cases of 2 animals together, in which case you haven't got to clean up between. So then you'll have more cases in your day because you haven't had to leave that gap. So, but yeah, I'd say 10 to 13 is pretty normal for me at the moment.
So what do you do when, somebody now inquires to see you and you don't have space because, you're working on those 2 days? Do you then fit them in somehow on those other days, or are you quite strict with just doing only the house visits on the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?
I wish I was strict, but I'm not. So I'm not. I do worry that the day I say no to a vet is the day they stop referring. So I don't say no. I manage it as best I can. Most of my clients are really good actually about filling up cancellation spots as well. So I have like a waiting list system now where if I haven't got something for next week or the week after, I don't want to leave it longer than that. I'll put them on the wait list, and then that way it means that if somebody has a COVID cancel or something else, then I can put them into that slot. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with how manageable my clients have been. They're not all, so obviously I have to do some shifting and jibbling around. And again, some of my clients are much easier to move around than others and very understanding. So as much as I don't like asking, I do just say, look, if you don't want to move, that is totally fine. But if you could, then this person would be very grateful. And as a result, that seems to have worked quite well. But yeah, I can't deny that there are days I have to work 2 days. This week I've got working Friday as well. Next week I'm working Wednesday as well. So yeah, and they're pretty full days. But that equally is to do with holidays and stuff as well. So yeah, there's a big juggle, but I'm pulling it off so far. I feel like karma looks after me. That's all I can say, because I don't know how I pull it off. And sometimes look at my diary and think, just believe something will work out, Donna. Just believe something will work out. And it does. It bizarrely does. I don't know why.
I find it so interesting, obviously these Behind the Vet Rehab Practice podcasts, I've interviewed so many vet rehabbers, and I really find it interesting how everyone has a different way of practicing. And I think you're the second one now that I interviewed Ionut from Romania, and he had a similar approach to you. And I think for him, it was like he just likes to get all his consults done in those days. So he also does the same thing. He has 2 or 3 days where he just basically consults flat out, and then uses the other day for days for admin and marketing and other things. And I don't think I asked him, but I want to ask you, because obviously those, say you're seeing like 20 to 26 patients a week, for you, would you not consider doing a half day, because you could spread that obviously over all 5 days, half day, and then doing admin in the afternoon. That's obviously something you could do. Is the reason that you do it because it's just easier for you to focus on one thing and then have a day where you can just focus on admin? Because I know people are different. Like some people can jump between 2 things. And I must say for myself, I love a day where I say, okay, today I'm doing recordings and podcast interviews, and that's my day where I do it. I prefer that to doing admin, doing a little bit of marketing, then doing a podcast recording and jumping around. So I can understand. Is that the reason behind it?
There's several reasons. I feel like, I want to be able to say this is patient day, because I feel like your energy level is completely different on a patient day, because you're interacting with customers and you're almost like on a show or something, because you've got to keep talking. It's really exhausting. And I think that if I saw a few patients in the morning and then changed to admin later, I would be exhausted for the admin, because when I'm done with my day, I am exhausted. And it's not just because it's a long day, it's just because I've just been on show, your head's banging, it's really, we have to think a lot as rehabbers. We have to make every single plan individual. There's so much going on that after I finish my working day with patients, I want to just do nothing. And then when it comes to the admin and stuff, you are chopping and changing. And some of it is very long as well. You need a few hours to really get your head into it, particularly the marketing stuff. And so I need to just be able to think like that. And then obviously there is some sort of the cleanliness element as well, because like dogs are licking your face and all that sort of thing. And you just want to get off your patients and then have a shower. And again, once you've had the shower, you're kind of, that's it now, done. But also, again, it comes back to the, I have my child, and so on a Tuesday and Thursday, she's in after school care and all that sort of thing. So I don't really have a lot to do with it. I do see her because obviously, luckily for me, I work from home, so that's good. But obviously Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I've got the after school clubs and the mum jobs basically as well. So, they don't go to school long enough, do they? So you've got to pick them up and then ferry them off to the next thing or whatever, and play dates and all those sorts of things. So there is a lot to get in your day. And sometimes at the end of the day, you think, God, I don't think I've done anything. But you've done loads, but you can't list it because it's all been this little job, that little job, all the things that just add up. So, yeah.
No, I mean, I completely understand. And it's also like, I think when you're in the groove, you get in the groove when you're consulting, to get in the groove every day and then jump into the admin. And then what generally tends to happen is, and I think this is what happens with a lot of vet rehabbers, is you do your consults and then, like you say, you're a bit exhausted. So you don't get into the admin groove and the marketing groove. So those things don't tend to happen.
It's much more normal actually in the veterinary. I don't know. I mean, it is in the UK anyway. Is that in the old days, vets did used to work sort of 9 till 5 or whatever, and then they'd have shifts patterns where they would do sort of I don't know 11 till 7 or whatever. But actually now vets are starting to do many more 12-hour shifts, so they can have a day off. And so they're basically doing 4 days a week, 12 hours a day. And some of them even less than that, obviously. So I think that this long hour thing is actually getting more normal. Whether it's good, I don't know, but it does seem to be more the pattern. I think it is trying to get a head down time to do something else is really important more frequently.
Yeah, to have that work-life balance. So important. So let's chat about your admin. So are you doing all the admin yourself, or do you have anyone that helps you?
So I was doing it all myself, and then I got a helper, which has been weird. I think is the best way to describe it. It has been really good. It was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. I have over the years tried to get admins before, but it's really hard handing over the reins. And you don't know what to hand over. And then when you do, you always worry, has it been done? And so, it's been exhausting trying. But this one, she's really good. She's very on the ball. And I'm probably in a much more strong position that I'm like, I have got to get rid of the admin. I've got to. I just don't have any choice. I'm good at the physio. That's what I should do. That brings in the money. That's what I should do. And so I need somebody else to start taking over the reins on the admin so that I just see patients and she runs it. That would be amazing. It's never going to happen quite that way, but it would be amazing if she did. But it's been very hard to teach her and stuff in this environment. That's been tough.
Yeah, is she virtual?
She's not virtual. She lives down the road, but she's having to be virtual at the moment, which is very frustrating. I mean, one of my saving grace is that I got StreamYard, during COVID to do various things, and actually it's worked out really well because I can now do a screen share and teach her what I'm doing, so I can teach her to do a referral request, stuff like that. But what I can't teach her is how to speak to my clients. And that sounds ridiculous, but there is a certain, my brand is me as well, and to me that is really important. I'm caring, I'm talky, and I need her to be that when she rings up to organize a new appointment or answer questions. That first meet and greet to me is the most important thing. And so that's been my hardest thing to get around, because I don't really know how to get her to start contacting clients. The last thing I want is a lost client just because she's rang up and said, "You're right, want an appointment." And I don't think she would do that, but that's in my mind, is that's part of the training, because you can't undo it, can you? So that hasn't been the easiest thing to deal with, but I will deal with it.
Yeah, I think the thing is when you've been doing things yourself the whole time, right? It's so hard to let go. And I think that a lot of us vet rehabbers are the type of personality where we like to control things and like to have things the way we want them to. So like I am that type of personality completely. And, I read somewhere about the 80-20 rule, and this goes for like delegating jobs too. So if you can find somebody who can do the job 80% as well as you can, then you can get them to do it. And then you just got to be okay with that 20% where they're going to do it slightly differently. And I think that, that's the big step, is to try and trust that they're going to do it, and you need to just learn to let go. But once, if I think about myself, I've obviously been through the same path, being mobile, having clinics, and then eventually hiring somebody, and also, going through that thought process, like, I really need to hire somebody, because like I'm spending time doing monotonous same old things, which I could actually be spending my time doing other things, which would be growing my practice or treating animals where I could be earning income. And so sometimes you think like you can't afford to get someone to help you, but you often can't afford not to, actually, because that person opens up your time, whether it be to market, to get more clients, get more referrals, whether it be actually physically treating patients where you're actually earning income. And if you think about the time that you spend doing those day-to-day things, but yeah, you just gotta let go. And I remember for me in the beginning, it was like the big decision to do it. Then I did it. And I remember the first month or two with a new person, it's always difficult because they're asking all the questions. And, at that time, I didn't really have like operations manuals, and I didn't have anything like put together like I know now. So you would sort of explain it to how to do it. And then they wouldn't do it exactly how I wanted to. And then I'd be, I don't know why I had this person. I might as well just do it myself. And then I just pushed through. And then a month or two later, I was like, this person is a lifesaver. Thank goodness I hired them. So like a complete shift in my thought process. And so I think what you're going through is like completely normal. And once you they get to a stage where they're comfortable. And then if you think about yourself, I mean, if you've ever worked for somebody, and it's the same, like, I think back to my veterinary days, when, especially locuming, you go locum at a practice, like the first few days are just, you feel like you're asking people, where is this all the time. And it's like an uncomfortable, horrible feeling. And that's probably what your admin person's going through now. It's just like this horrible, uncomfortable, like, am I ever going to get this? And then they get it. And then it's like, things just start to come together, and you'll see the benefit from it. You just, you got to push through.
Totally. And I definitely have learned that. So she started originally only doing 2 hours a week. And, because I was just so nervous. I didn't want to hand over too much, but I thought, let's just start. And also in the back of your head, it doesn't matter how much money you earn. I swear to God, I just always worry that, well, I might have no money next month, got to afford you. And so you end up worrying. But so we started on 2 hours a week, but she's already now doing 4 hours a week. And, she, at first, the push through bit is absolutely right in that, she takes twice as long to do something that, you could have done. Plus, you've spent the time teaching her in the first place. So I totally get that. But also what I have learned is that because I use the StreamYard thing for recording the lessons and sending her them, I'm sure it would be quicker if I just taught her, because you don't really know how much she's taking in when you're doing a lesson. You normally, when you teach someone, it's a two-way process. But she has that now, it's done. So if there's somebody else that has to take over, it's almost becoming the operations manual. So I'm sort of seeing that that's kind of a time saver in the long run as well, which is kind of good. But yeah, I mean, she does all my claim forms and things, and so all that is alone is something cool. And she does some of my blog posts and stuff like that. So she's gradually growing what she needs to do. I think it has been a big thing for me to hand over, relinquish control of the YouTube and stuff like that. But and there is more for her to do. And equally, I've got to evolve my IT, because at the moment, paper diary isn't going to work if somebody isn't doing the appointments in front of you and stuff. So, there's a lot of stuff to make changes with and be okay with, not just some other person. But yeah, in the back of your mind, there is also that moment that if she leaves, I'm screwed again. But I think you do just have to get over it. And because basically, if I don't make some time, I can't do anything else. So I can't invent time.
And I remember one of the things I was always worried about when I was hiring people was like, what happens if I can't afford to pay them?
Mm.
And I can tell you, not once did I ever get to a situation where I couldn't afford to pay anyone that I hired. Every single time I hired someone, it was the right decision to make, and we made more money because we had that extra person, and I was able to pay myself and I was able to pay them. So I never had a situation where, that's what all of us think, if you do it right and you hire the right person, and you're getting them to do the right things, and it enables you to be able to generate more income, then you'll never have a problem with having to pay them.
I think I definitely needed to accept that, at some point you are making enough money, because it's very easy to sort of go, oh, well, great, I'm making all this money. Yeah, I can live off that. But actually, once you are making more money, you have to recognize that that is investing your profit, if that makes sense, rather than seeing it as a loss. Because obviously she doesn't technically make me money because I'm not seeing more because of her, but I'm getting my life back, which is what I should have had all the time. So I've already made that extra to afford her. So I'm sort of chopping back again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely getting your head round it. Yeah.
So let's chat about your marketing now, because that is something that you are very passionate about and you're very strong, and you very kindly always offer advice and help. Donna is often at Coffee with Megan, which is on the last Friday of every month. So for those of you that are listening, if you ever want to come join us, it is open to the community. Anyone can come and join. It's such a great time. It's like an hour, and we have people from all over the world. So some people wake up at 4 a.m. to join us. Other people are at like 12 o'clock at night in Australia. And we meet online, and yeah, we chat. And Donna, she's got some really novel marketing ideas. So I'd love for you to share with us sort of your marketing plan and the things that you've done within your marketing that has really moved the needle for your practice.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I mean, I love the fact that you use the word plan, because I wouldn't say that there was a plan. But I try things out. I would say as I experiment, and that's probably where it goes. And I was very conscious that social media is clearly the key. I have over the years spent far too much money on what I considered useless. Magazine articles, all that sort of thing, and I just basically have a point blank refusal. If somebody sends me something and they say it's going to cost X amount of money, I'm like, nope, don't do any paid advertising, because social media just seems to be the key for me. I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, I haven't got a clue, but it's working for me. And so yeah, I did really turn to the socials a lot, and that was really, I would say, the silver lining of COVID. You've got to find something good about this. And it pushed, because obviously nobody could see anyone anymore, and everybody was in a high state of, oh my God, that I ended up just doing way more on the socials, and it just worked. I could see it clearly worked. All of a sudden I got more and more and more referrals. And I would say that actually it was the vets that were seeing me, and I didn't really realize that the vets were even watching me online, but turns out Facebook knows who to push you to. And so, yeah, I ended up with a lot more referrals. So as I did more online stuff, my confidence grew and it evolved. And funnily enough, because it's a year later and now Facebook keeps doing all those memories, I keep seeing the things I was posting, and oh God, I laugh. A few days ago last year, I did a Facebook post from the middle of Asda, because I was just, all the shelves were empty and it was all just bizarre. And so I just took that moment and thought, well, I need to be happy right now. What am I going to do to make myself happy? And then obviously this evolves. My head just does not stop. And then I evolved to, what can I do to make other people happy? And then it popped in my head, let's teach everybody how to do a head massage on their dog. And so I did a Facebook Live from the middle of Asda. I literally just found a quiet island and said, watch this space. I'm going to do something amazing for you guys tomorrow. And then, so tomorrow came, and then I did my live in head massage for dogs. And of course, people shared it and loved it and commented on it and all that sort of thing. And then that made me feel good, because when you first do your life, you think, oh God, everybody's going to laugh at me. Everybody's going to hate me. Everybody's going to send horrible comments. I'm going to get trolled. And then when that doesn't happen, you're like, oh, actually, that was all right. And then the more you do those things, the more you realize that, oh, actually, that was really good. And then I was doing like little, safe exercises and stuff like that, like lots of people were. And it just all grew. And then somehow, and I don't even know how the cup of tea with a vet thing popped up in my head, but it did. And so I ended up reaching out to a vet that I knew and said, look, there's a serious, I think it's because people, at my clients, not, they weren't falling out with their vets, but there was, you can just get that sense of animosity that they were having at that time was because they couldn't go into the veterinary practice. And they couldn't with me either, but for some reason, because I was talking to them face to face outside and understanding, that was okay. And I think really all they needed to do was vent. And so I was the outlet, and I heard then what they were saying. So I reached out to, like I said, one of my vets I work very well with, and just said, look, would you like to do this? And then she was like, yeah, sounds fun. I was like, okay, cool. So then we did our first cup of tea with the vet, and oh my goodness me, the reach was ridiculous. It was like 7,500 people. I was like, what just happened? So then the series was born because, it just evolved. All of a sudden I decided, well, people started asking, saying, oh, who else could be on here? And, oh, I'd like to see my vet on here. And that happens all the time. So actually what I've now had to start doing, this is where this evolution goes, is that I've had to slow down my online presence because I got too busy and I wasn't coping with how many referrals I was getting. And there was two ways of going. One, get a new physio, but I then, because I work from home, obviously it wasn't going to work during the middle of COVID, or to slow down the medias and see what happens. And funnily enough, I've now got a happy place. So I'm not stopping the medias because I really actually enjoy it myself and I get a lot out of it. And the relationships I'm building with vets is actually incredible. And particularly with that, because, trying to get a meeting with vets is virtually impossible, but tell them to go on social media as an interview and they're happy. So it's amazing. But yeah, so it has been a massive learning curve for me. It really has. But the social media has definitely opened my eyes, opened my world. And I would say to anybody, just dip your toe and then just keep going, like getting at the swimming pool. Cold and horrible to start with, but once you're in there, you're all right.
And it's something that, anyone could do. Like, you guys, no matter where you are in the world, you could do the same thing. You could interview the vet. And I think it was an absolutely genius idea of yours, the cup of tea with the vet, because there are a few things. I mean, one of the things in our field is that we struggle to get recognized by vets because it's not a profession that they're aware of, some of them. It's not something that they learn about at vet school. So they're not really sure about us and what we do. And so, like, one of our biggest things in practice, and this takes a while to establish yourself, is to build these relationships. And the best way is to get yourself in front of someone. And like you say, it's really difficult to meet up with them. But now when you say to them, would you like to come on Facebook Live? The first thing it does is makes them feel really special that you've chosen them to come on. They obviously have the opportunity now to be exposed to your online presence. And likewise for you, because you tag them in and they share it onto their platform. So now you get exposed to all their clients on their practice page. And so that's why you're getting that amazing, amazing reach. And you make them look good and they make you look good. In that conversation, they have the opportunity to actually see, let pet owners see that they care and what they're doing, and I think that it's not something that a lot of vets do, social media.
No.
Very few practices have a social media presence. And if they do, they're just paying some company to post some images for them. And most of them are all curated and they look exactly the same as the other practice down the road. I think they've bought like a template or something. Loads of them, I think, there must be a company who's making millions just selling templates because they'd all look the same. So yeah, it was really a genius idea, and it's amazing how it's worked for you. And like I said, it's something that's so easy for any of you guys to do, no matter where you are in the world. Social media, you can reach so many different people, and I'm sure you reach people that are not only in your area. One of the things I wanted to ask: Are you running out of vets to have cups of tea with?
No, I'm not running out of vets because people are constantly feeding. Oh, you've got to use this person. I mean, there's thousands of vets out there. I've got loads lined up still for coming months, so it's fine. I'm definitely not running out, and it is going global because I mean, it's been global the whole time. I have people that watch it from all over the world, and they comment from Australia and Switzerland and all sorts of places, and they then put their vet ideas forwards as well. And so I've got someone from America. Oh God, I shouldn't say that in case it's Canada or something. I actually don't know where she's from. She's coming on, and that was through one of the other rehabbers saying, "Oh, you get this person on," and I was like, "Okay then." So I've reached out, and no, I haven't definitely not run out of vets because I like doing the local vets. But they're, a lot of them are busy as well, so they don't necessarily find time for it, which is understandable. But because there's no reason to hold back, some of my vets are from all over the place. So I've had some really high profile vets as well. I'd obviously like more. I mean, the more the better. I really can't see me stopping this because, rather like you like doing your interviews, I really like doing the vet ones. And I love the fact that it's also, because it's not high pressure, it's not about veterinary, it's not about what I mean by that, it's not about a topic, it's not about renal disease or anything like that. It's about just getting to know the human. And as a result of that, it's an easy conversation, a nice fun chat, very informal. And I think it's right what they say. Nobody cares how much you know. They care how much you care. And that gives them the opportunity to look caring, and it gives me the opportunity to look caring. And I think that's all that matters. So yeah.
No, it's awesome. I think it's a great idea. And, it's great for the vet rehab community because, this is a global issue that we have, and one of my goals is to create awareness about vet rehab all over the world. So at the beginning of the year, and actually looking at it right now, I've got this sheet of 6 things that I want to achieve. And so I want to thank you because you're helping me. You're helping me achieve one of my goals by doing what you do, because like you say, there are people all over the world listening. And we need pet owners and we need vets to realize how amazing we are, right?
Definitely.
So thanks for what you're doing. And guys, if you're listening, please jump in. Like, let me know, tag me in if you're in. I will come in and support you. And yeah, if you've got any advice that you want, please come and join us at the coffee on the last Friday. Donna will, I'm sure, will kindly give some advice on how she does it, how she approaches them. She's often telling and sharing all her ideas in the coffees.
Absolutely. And also, just to say as well, that like one of the questions I ask in the cup of tea with a vet, I specifically ask like this on purpose for people to be able to use and share. I don't ask, what do you love about Donna doing physio or anything specific. I always ask them, what do you love about physio? Because that's generic and you can all share it. And then, so if you go on my Facebook page or whatever, I have chopped out that section so that people can just literally share, what do you love about physio? And that is a vet literally telling you what they love about physio. So share it around, that's, can't be a better commendation than that.
Yeah, exactly. And always remember, whenever you're doing anything with any other vets or any other pet healthcare professionals, so it doesn't only have to be vets. There are lots of people that we can network with.
Oh, yeah.
Remember to tag them in, and tag in their practice, and thank them for their time. And, we're building relationships here. So this is what it's all about.
Definitely. I've interviewed a lot of people now because I've interviewed people about flooring. I've interviewed about buggies. There's no holding back. If there's any sort of connection, I'll interview them.
Donna, if you look at your whole path now as a vet rehabber, is there anything that you would do different if you had to go back now in time and change things?
That's a good question. No, I don't think there is. In all honesty, I really don't, because I think that I'm doing okay. So why would you change that? Sometimes I wish I perhaps had more confidence to go and get a big rehab clinic and loads of staff and all that stuff. But then I think, do I really want that stress? And that's always the thing that holds me back. So I don't know, in all honesty, because you don't know how those things would have panned out, but I am very happy. So I think as a result of that, I have to be pleased with what I've done. So I don't think there is anything that I would have done differently. No.
And one piece of advice that you would give to people that are just qualifying now, what would it be?
Reach out and get friendly with fellow rehabbers, because I think that's a really big problem. I think that, there is a lot of, I don't want to use the word animosity or anything that's negative, but there's definitely, people think about their fellow rehabbers that are in the local area as just competitors. And actually, I think that it's very short-sighted to think like that. I think that you have to recognize that, yes, they are technically a competitor, but in the vet world, they would all be friends with each other. They all swap drugs and God knows what, they have to, because they support each other. And I think that we need to be more like that. We need to be supportive of each other. We need to recognize that another rehabber half an hour down the road or 10 minutes down the road advertising, they're not just advertising for themselves, they're advertising the fact that physio happens, and people are learning that, whoa, physio is even an option. And so, don't see it as a negative. Just reach out, be friends, be supportive. You never know when you're going to need sick cover or any other thing, and you can support each other. And it's a very lonely industry otherwise, and I think we all need people to pick us up and people to say, oh God, this happened today, oh blimey, what do you think? And have that friendship group. So yeah, I definitely think reaching out to your local physios or just anyone that's another physio is a really helpful thing.
I think that's great advice. And what you said about the vets is so true. I can remember working for vet practices, and then you run out of a specific drug or you can't get it in time and an animal needs it, and you just hop in your car, drive down to the practice, like literally a block and a half away, and they've got it there waiting for you. They share it with you, and we're all in it for the same reason. We're all in it for the animals, and that's really what it's about. And I think it's very, in the veterinary world, I mean, I'm sure there are people that feel like they're competitors, but the majority of people support one another and work together. Things like, if a vet is sick, I can remember vets down the road maybe had a horrific car accident and wasn't able to practice. We would go and help. We would go and help and treat that person's patients without a question. And that's how we should be. You're right. We should just be supporting one another. And, at the Vet Rehab Summit, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's our annual online conference. It's in November. Last year, our whole theme was all about connection, and we had a whole training about collaboration and how we can collaborate, and a whole networking event. And that's really what it's about. It's about collaborating and working together, because together we're actually stronger. And we need the support, like you say. Every now and again, you want to go on holiday or you're sick and somebody needs to treat your patients. You want people in that room with you to be able to help you. So great advice.
Thank you.
Donna, thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely amazing chatting to you, and thanks for sharing all your knowledge. And I look forward to seeing you at the next Coffee with Megan.
You're welcome. I look forward to seeing you there too. And thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Thanks, Donna. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about veterinary rehabilitation. For more information about continuing education for vet rehab therapists that you can do online, you can go to onlinepethealth.com. I'd like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and of course thank our sponsors, Pulse Vet. We thank them for their commitment to their mission to improve the quality of life of the animals that we all love by developing, validating, and providing advanced shockwave therapy at the highest level of support and service. Remember, you can reach them at pulsevet.com or info@pulsevet.com. See you all next week.